Commander Alan Russell felt his heart pound as he watched the alien ship dock with the International Space Station. 6 months ago, he had been a normal Navy officer. Now, he was about to be the first human to meet beings from another world. Stay calm, he told himself, wiping sweat from his forehead. Just like we practiced. Beside him, Communications Officer Patricia Miller checked her equipment one last time. She looked at Alan with wide eyes. "Can you believe this is really happening?" she whispered. Alan shook his head. "No, but ready or not, here they come." The airlock door slid open with a hiss. Alan stood tall as 5 strange creatures entered the station's main meeting room. They moved carefully in the station's gravity, their bodies unlike anything Alan had ever seen. The tallest alien had a hard shell covering its body with 4 long arms and eyes that reminded Alan of an insect. Its skin gleamed blue-green under the lights. Behind it walked smaller beings with different shapes. One had skin that glowed with changing colors, another had scales like a lizard, and the other 2 had features Alan couldn't even describe. "Welcome aboard the International Space Station," Alan said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I am Commander Alan Russell, representing Earth." The tall alien made a series of clicks and whistles. A small device on its chest lit up, and a smooth voice came out. "We are the representatives of the Galactic Confederation," it said. "I am Ambassador Zex Torith. We are pleased to finally meet humanity face to face." Alan touched the translator in his ear, amazed that it worked so well. "The honor is ours. We have wondered for centuries if we were alone in the universe." "You were never alone," said a smaller alien with glowing skin, stepping forward. "I am Science Officer Pelanax. We have watched your world for many cycles." Alan felt a chill run down his spine. "You've been watching us for how long?" "Since your people began sending radio signals into space," Ambassador Zex Torith said. "We needed to be certain you were ready for contact." Patricia spoke up. "Ready? We've been sending messages to the stars for nearly 150 years. Why wait until now to answer?" The aliens looked at each other in a way that made Alan nervous. Something was wrong. "There is much to explain," Ambassador Zex Torith said slowly. "But first we must speak with your world leaders. This concerns all of humanity." Alan nodded to Patricia, who pressed buttons on her control panel. Screens lit up around the room, showing the faces of the UN Secretary General and presidents and prime ministers from major nations on Earth. "They're connected now," Alan said. "What's so important that it couldn't wait?" The smallest alien, Pelanax, stepped forward. She touched something on her wrist and a 3D image appeared in the middle of the room. It showed planets sorted into different colored groups. "This is how we classify all worlds in the galaxy," she explained. "Class 1 through 5 are paradise worlds, where most intelligent species live. Class 6 through 10 are harder worlds, needing special suits or body changes to live there. Class 11 through 15 are death worlds, too dangerous for most life forms." Alan studied the image with growing interest. "Where does Earth fit in?" Ambassador Zex Torith made a strange clicking sound before speaking. "Your world is Class 14. The room went completely silent. On the screens, the Earth leaders looked at each other in confusion. "Class 14? Patricia finally asked. "What does that mean?" "It means," Pelanax said, her skin flashing with red and yellow lights, "that your planet should be too dangerous for intelligent life to evolve. The gravity is crushing to most species. Your air contains oxygen levels that would poison 82% of Confederation races. Your world has terrible storms, moving ground plates that cause earthquakes and millions of dangerous animals and plants." Alan looked at Patricia, then back at the aliens. "But that's just normal Earth. We've always lived with those things." "Exactly," said Ambassador Zex Torith, its voice now showing clear signs of worry. "And that is why finding you here, not just surviving but building cities and technology, has shocked our scientists to their core." The UN Secretary General spoke up from his screen. "Ambassador, are you suggesting that humans are somehow special because we evolved on Earth?" "Special is not the word I would choose," the ambassador replied. "Concerning might be more accurate. Alan felt his face grow hot. Concerning? We've done nothing to threaten you. Not yet, said one of the other aliens speaking for the first time. But a species that evolves on a Class 14 Deathworld develops unusual traits. Pelanax touched her device again, and the image changed to show a human body next to various alien forms. Parts of the human glowed bright red. Your bones are reinforced with minerals that make them stronger than building materials on many worlds, she explained. Your muscles can apply forces that would tear apart most species. Your digestive system can process foods that would kill other beings. Your body can repair damage that would be fatal to 90% of known intelligent species. Patricia shook her head in disbelief. We're just normal people, not to the rest of the galaxy, Ambassador Zex Torith said firmly. To us, you are the monsters that survived the unsurvivable, the predators from a world that should have killed you 1,000 times over. Alan felt a strange mix of pride and worry wash over him. I think I understand now why you waited so long to make contact. Yes, Ambassador Zex Torith nodded. The Confederation needed to be certain your people were peaceful before revealing ourselves. The last time we discovered life on a Class 12 world, that species tried to conquer 3 star systems before we stopped them. The President of the United States spoke from her screen, her voice tense but controlled. Ambassador, let me be clear. Earth has no plans for conquest. We seek peaceful exchange of knowledge and friendship. We hope that is true, the ambassador replied. Because the question that has thrown our entire scientific community into chaos is simple. What kind of species not only survives on a Class 14 death world, but sees it as normal? 3 months passed since the aliens first arrived. In a big lab in Geneva, Dr. Eleanor West couldn't believe what she was seeing on her computer screen. This just can't be right, she said, pushing her gray hair back from her face. Kyle, can you run the test again? Kyle Diaz, her young assistant, sighed as he typed on his keyboard. Dr. West, we've already done this test 5 times. The numbers don't change. Eleanor stared at the glowing 3D image floating above her desk. It showed a human body next to strange alien shapes. The human figure glowed bright red in several places. So, they think we're super strong monsters? She asked, pointing to the screen. According to their standards, even an ordinary human is as strong as their Class 8 apex predator, whatever that means. Kyle nodded, reading from his tablet. And we can resist poisons like their Class 10 filter organisms. Plus, we can live in places that would kill most aliens. No wonder they look scared when they meet us, Eleanor muttered. She picked up a coffee mug and took a sip. The hot, bitter liquid would probably be classified as poison to the aliens. The aliens from the Tauri group asked for special walls between them and humans in their new embassy, Kyle said. They're afraid our everyday germs might kill them. Eleanor shook her head. And yet they want us to join their space club? Why invite the monsters to dinner? The lab door opened with a soft hiss. General Frank Hernandez walked in wearing his full uniform. Behind him came the alien scientist named Pelanax. She wore a thin, protective suit that covered her glowing skin. Unlike the other aliens, she seemed less afraid of Earth's air and gravity. Good morning, Dr. West, Pelanax said, her voice coming through her translator. I hope your research is going well. If by well you mean confirming that you see us as dangerous creatures, then yes, it's going great, Eleanor said. Pelanax's skin flashed blue and purple. The Confederation wants your adaptability, Doctor, and your survival skills. But they also fear what humans might do if not properly guided. General Hernandez frowned. In other words, they think we're dangerous. From their view, they have good reason, Pelanax said. She walked to the window and looked out at the rain falling outside. You live on a world where electricity shoots from the sky, creating heat that can melt rock, where giant waves exploding mountains and shaking ground regularly destroy your cities, where tiny life forms too small to see have killed billions of your people throughout history. She turned back to face them. And yet you survive. You rebuild. You adapt. Eleanor pointed to the 3D image. That's just normal life on Earth, We're well adapted to our home, nothing more. What you call well adapted, we call terrifying, Pelanax replied. Her skin pulsed with red lights. A human child can live through things that would kill our best soldiers. Your bones are stronger than many of our building materials. You eat things for fun that would kill most aliens. Kyle laughed. Like hot peppers? Come on, it's just spicy food. Your idea of just tells me a lot, Pelanax said. Earth should have killed your kind long ago. Instead, it made you into something the galaxy has never seen before. General Hernandez stepped forward. So what happens now? More alien ships arrive in our solar system every day. The United Nations is getting worried. That's why I'm here, Pelanax said. The Confederation has decided that humans must take tests before they can join. They need to know if you are safe. Eleanor laughed with no humor. They want to make sure the scary Deathworlders won't cause trouble. Yes, Pelanax admitted. Representatives from our defense force will arrive in 1 week to begin testing human abilities in controlled environments. Testing? Kyle asked, looking worried. Fighting tests, survival tests, mind tests, General Hernandez said in a grim voice. They want to see what happens when humans are pushed to our limits. Pelanax's skin showed patterns that humans had learned meant she felt. Sorry. All new species must take tests before joining. But I must admit the tests for Class 14 species are much harder. They've never been used before because we've never found a Class 14 species until now. Eleanor turned back to her data screens. Tell your leaders we will take their tests, but also tell them this. We've survived everything Earth has thrown at us for thousands of years. We're not afraid of a few alien tests. After Pelanax left the lab, Kyle stood next to Eleanor. Do you think they might try to lock us up on Earth if they don't like what they see in the tests? Eleanor's eyes grew hard and cold. Let them try. That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She sat in her apartment looking at the stars through her window. Somewhere up there, alien ships watched Earth, trying to decide if humans were too dangerous to join their group. She opened her laptop and reviewed the data again. The aliens weren't wrong. Humans were tough compared to them. An ordinary human could lift weights that would crush many aliens. Human skin could handle heat and cold that would kill other species. Human lungs could breathe air that would poison most of the galaxy's people. Her phone rang, making her jump. It was General Hernandez. They've moved up the schedule, he said, without saying hello. The testing ships will arrive tomorrow, not next week. Eleanor felt her heart beat faster. Why the rush? Some group called the Dravex has been arguing that Earth should be blocked from joining the Confederation. They say Deathworld species are too dangerous. And what does Ambassador Zex Torith say about this? The general was quiet for a moment. The ambassador says the Dravex have a point. The last known species from a Class 12 world tried to take over 3 star systems before they were stopped. Eleanor closed her eyes. So we're guilty just because we were born on this planet? That's why these tests matter, the general said. We need to show them we're not monsters, just people trying to survive like everyone else in the galaxy. After they hung up, Eleanor watched a shooting star cross the night sky. Except it wasn't a shooting star. It was probably an alien ship entering Earth's atmosphere, coming to test if humans were too dangerous to join the galactic community. They have no idea what humans are capable of, she whispered to herself. But they're about to find out. The sun beat down on the Nevada desert. Inside a new building with strange designs, Captain Sharon Hayes pulled on her simple blue uniform. She felt the eyes of the aliens watching her from behind special glass walls high above the floor. Remember, said Colonel Greg Martinez in a quiet voice beside her, this isn't about winning. It's about showing control. Sharon nodded, though she didn't like it. She always played to win. I understand, sir. Show them what we can do without scaring them too much. The colonel patted her shoulder. Exactly. Our people are working hard to convince them we're not the monsters they think we are. Don't give them a reason to fear us more. A door on the other side of the big room opened. 3 aliens walked in. They wore shiny suits that made them look bigger and stronger. Sharon knew these suits helped the aliens match human strength. Ambassador Zextoreth's voice came through speakers in the ceiling. Captain Hayes, these are members of our best fighting group, the Sentinel Corps. They come from 3 different Class 7 worlds, and their suits make them nearly as strong as humans. This test will help us understand how your natural body compares to our best fighting technology. Sharon walked to the middle of the room. I understand, Ambassador. What are the rules? Simple, the ambassador replied. The first team to stop all opponents from moving wins. No lasting harm is to be done. Sharon looked at her 3 alien opponents as they moved around her. One looked like a big insect, like Ambassador Zextoreth. Another had scales like a reptile, with 4 arms ending in 3-fingered hands. The third was short and wide, covered in thick fur with a face that had a strange mix of nose and antenna. Colonel Martinez left the room. A blue light wall appeared, keeping the fighters inside. Begin, announced the ambassador. The 3 aliens moved with good teamwork. The insect and reptile creatures went to her sides while the furry one came straight at her. Sharon saw what they were doing right away. They were treating her like a dangerous animal that needed to be trapped rather than fought directly. She let them circle her, keeping her movements slow and easy. When the furry alien jumped at her, she stepped aside quickly, surprising it. She gently guided it past her instead of throwing it hard. I'm not here to hurt anyone, she said, knowing her words were being changed to alien language. The reptile alien answered, We know, this is just a test. What followed was more like a dance than a fight. The aliens attacked with more and more complex moves, using their suits to move with speed and force that would impress most humans. Sharon, however, had been picked for this test because of her great fighting skills and, more importantly, her self-control. She avoided most attacks completely, sometimes letting them hit her lightly to make it look like a fair fight. When she fought back, she did it with careful, controlled movements, showing skill rather than using her full strength. After 15 minutes, the ambassador's voice returned. Captain Hayes, our test requires seeing what you can really do. Please, use your full ability for the next part. Sharon looked toward the glass windows, then at Colonel Martinez, who gave her a small nod. Understood, she replied, changing her standing position. What happened next left the watching aliens in shocked silence. Moving at her natural full speed, without any special suit or help, Sharon stopped all 3 opponents in less than 30 seconds. She was careful not to hurt them, but she clearly showed what a human could really do. When the blue light wall turned off, Ambassadors Zextoreth and Pelanax entered the room, walking toward Sharon with careful, slow steps. That was eye-opening, the ambassador said. You moved faster than our tracking systems thought possible for a being with no technology help. Sharon kept a respectful position. I'm actually not special by human military standards, Ambassador. I'm just a bit above average for Special Forces soldiers. Pelanax's skin flashed with patterns that humans now knew meant alarm. Captain Hayes, the speed and strength you just showed would make you a top predator on 92% of worlds in the Confederation. I don't understand, Sharon said. Your fighting units use very expensive technology. Ambassador Zextoreth cut in. The 3 beings you just defeated have special suits that cost more than a small spaceship. You beat them using only your natural body. Colonel Martinez joined them. Ambassador, maybe now you understand why we don't like how you're labeling humans in your systems. We're not monsters or super hunters, we're just people who grew up in a challenging place. A Class 14 Deathworld, Pelanax corrected. And with respect, Colonel, what we just saw confirms our worries rather than removes them. She pointed at Sharon. Your soldier just showed physical abilities that most Confederation species can only get through advanced technology. And you say she is merely above average? Before Martinez could answer, a young officer ran into the room and whispered urgently in his ear. The colonel's face turned dark with worry. Ambassador, he said, we need to move to the safe command room right now. We just got word that a Dravex battle fleet has entered our solar system. They're not answering Confederation calls. Ambassador Zex Torith's mouth parts clicked rapidly in what Sharon knew was a sign of great fear. The Dravex? They're a breakaway group that fights against adding new species to the Confederation. If they're here, then they've come to make sure humans never join. Pelinax finished. By any means they can. The group rushed through long hallways to reach the underground command center. Inside, screens showed the approaching Dravex ships. Sharon counted 12 large warships heading straight for Earth. "How did they get past your defense ships?" she asked the ambassador. "The Dravex have stolen some of our best technology," Zex Torith admitted. "They believe that species from Deathworlds are a threat to the natural order of the galaxy. And now they're coming for us," Colonel Martinez said grimly. Sharon felt a cold anger building inside her. For 3 months, humans had played nice, followed all the rules, and tried to show they weren't dangerous. Now, a group of aliens was coming, to attack Earth just because humans had the bad luck to be born on a death world. She looked at Pelinax. "What are these Dravex planning to do?" The alien scientist hesitated before answering. "Based on their ship types, they plan to release something into your atmosphere, a chemical that would paralyze all humans temporarily." "They want to freeze an entire planet of people?" Sharon asked in disbelief. "It's how they deal with potential threats," Pelinax explained. "Though I must emphasize that the Confederation has not approved this action." Colonel Martinez looked at the screens showing the approaching ships. "Will our weapons work against them?" Ambassador Zex Torith shook his head. "Your missiles and energy weapons won't get through their shields. Their defense technology is made to stop weapons from developing worlds like yours." A heavy silence fell over the room until a voice spoke up from the back. "Then maybe we should stop trying to fight like they do," said Kyle Diaz, who had been quietly working at a computer. "Maybe we should fight like what they fear most." Everyone turned to look at him as he continued with a small smile. "They're scared of humans because we evolved on a death world, right? So let's show them exactly what death world adaptability looks like." The command center beneath the Nevada facility hummed with tension as holograms displayed the approaching Dravex fleet. 12 warships had bypassed the Confederation's defensive line and were on a direct course for Earth. President Olivia Clark addressed the emergency session from Washington via secure link. "Ambassador Zex Torith, I was assured that Earth would be protected during this evaluation period. How did hostile forces penetrate your defense network?" The ambassador's exoskeleton seemed to droop slightly. "The Dravex have technology that occasionally outpaces our standard defenses. They are extremists who believe that certain evolutionary paths represent threats to the natural order. And let me guess," General Hernandez said, "species from Deathworlds qualify as threats?" "The last known Class 12 species nearly destroyed 3 star systems before they were contained," Pelinax explained. "The Dravex believe that preventive action against emerging Deathworld species is justified." Dr. Eleanor West, who had been analyzing the Dravex ship specifications, looked up from her console. "These ships are designed to deploy atmospheric dispersal systems. They're planning to release something into our atmosphere." "A pacification agent," Ambassador Zex Torith confirmed reluctantly. "It would be harmless to your planet's ecosystem, but would render human nervous systems temporarily inoperative." "They're going to paralyze an entire planet?" Sharon Hayes asked incredulously. "Standard procedure for containing potential threats," Pelinax said, "though I must emphasize that the Confederation Council has not authorized this action." "President," Clark's voice hardened, "whether authorized or not, this represents an act of war against Earth. Our defensive systems are primed to respond. Your missiles and energy weapons won't penetrate their shields," the ambassador warned. "Dravex defensive technology is specifically designed to counter the types of weapons developing worlds typically possess." A tense silence fell over the command center until Kyle Diaz spoke up from his station where he had been running simulations. "What if we stop trying to match their technology and use what they're afraid of instead?" he suggested. "Us." All eyes turned to him as he continued. "They're terrified of humans because we evolved on a death world. So let's show them exactly what death world adaptability looks like." 4 hours later, As the Dravex fleet entered Earth's upper atmosphere, they encountered something their extensive intelligence had not prepared them for. 6 human space stations that had been rapidly converted into missile platforms, using technology hastily adapted from Confederation defensive specs shared by Ambassador Zextorith. But the true surprise came when 3 Earth vessels approached the Dravex command ship. Unlike the primitive chemical rockets the Dravex expected, these ships utilized makeshift engines based on principles Pelanax had inadvertently revealed during technical discussions with Earth scientists. Aboard the lead Earth vessel, the retrofitted Deep Space Probe USS Venture, Sharon Hayes led a team of 12 special operators equipped with environmental suits cobbled together from Confederation designs. "Remember," she told her team as they prepared to board the Dravex command ship, "they've never encountered humans up close. Their entire strategy is based on keeping their distance and deploying their agent from atmosphere. They won't be prepared for direct contact." The boarding action that followed would later be described in Confederation military academies as the Nevada Incident, a case study in why Deathworld species required entirely new tactical doctrines. Sharon's team exploited their natural advantages, operating comfortably in the higher gravity they maintained on their ship, breathing oxygen levels that would be toxic to the Dravex, and moving with speed and strength that their opponents' tactical systems classified as mechanical rather than biological. When the Dravex commander surrendered less than 40 minutes after the boarding began, not a single human casualty had been recorded. Back in the Nevada Command Center, President Clark watched the Dravex fleet retreat beyond the orbit of Mars, where Confederation peacekeeping vessels finally intercepted them. "It seems we've made quite an impression," she remarked to Ambassador Zextorith. "Indeed," the ambassador replied, mandibles clicking in what humans now recognized as nervous agitation. "The Confederation Council is reassessing several protocols regarding new member species." Eleanor West couldn't help but smile. "Let me guess. The classification system for planetary environments is under review?" "Among other things," Pelanax confirmed, "there is now a proposal to create a new diplomatic category for Deathworld species, with humans as the template." General Hernandez raised an eyebrow. "A template for what exactly?" Ambassador Zextorith's compound eyes seemed to focus somewhere in the middle distance. "For the protectors of the Confederation. Your species has demonstrated in hours what our military theorists have argued for centuries, that the extraordinary evolutionary pressures of a Deathworld produce adaptability that cannot be replicated through technology alone." "So we've gone from potential monsters to potential guardians?" President Clark asked. "The line between the two has always been determined by choice rather than capability," the ambassador replied. "Today, humanity chose to defend rather than destroy when you had the Dravex at your mercy. That choice matters more to the Confederation than the fact that you evolved on a Class 14 world." As the tension in the command center finally began to ease, Alan Russell, the commander who had first greeted the aliens 3 months earlier, asked the question that had been bothering him since the beginning. "Ambassador, there's something I still don't understand. If Earth is a Class 14 death world, what exactly would qualify as a Class 15? The ambassador's translator fell silent for a long moment before finally rendering his response. "Commander Russell, in all of Confederation history, only one world has ever been classified as Class 15. We call it the Abyss. It orbits a dying star on the edge of our charted space. The only expedition that landed there transmitted for less than 3 minutes before all contact was lost. The final transmission included only a single phrase from the mission commander. Everything here is alive. Everything here hunts." Alan felt a chill run down his spine. "And you thought we might be like them?" "We feared you might be," Pelanax corrected. "Now we hope you might help us understand them, should they ever emerge from their world as you have from yours." As the humans and aliens began discussing the specifics of Earth's new status in the Confederation, Sharon Hayes found herself standing next to Kyle Diaz, watching the diplomatic proceedings. "Do you think they'll ever truly understand us?" she asked quietly. Kyle shrugged. "Probably not entirely. But maybe they don't need to understand us completely. Maybe they just need to accept that the galaxy is more diverse than their classification systems allowed for. Sharon nodded thoughtfully. You know what's ironic? All this time they've been terrified of us because we survived on a death world, when from our perspective we've just been trying to make it a little less deadly with each generation. That's the thing about perspective, Kyle replied. What? They see as superhuman strength we see as the bare minimum needed to survive here. What they call a death world, we call home. Outside the facility, the Nevada desert stretched vast and dry under the setting sun. Beautiful, harsh, and perfectly ordinary to the humans who had evolved to see beauty in one of the galaxy's most challenging environments. A Class 14 death world that had shaped humanity into something the stars had never seen before and would never quite understand. The end.